Hi, sophomores. Welcome to your biology video for Monday, May 4th. We are zipping right through the human body in our study of the major systems, and today we're going to talk about the muscular system. The muscular system works hand in hand with the skeletal system to allow for the movement of our body, the movement of our skeleton, and maintaining posture. But we also have muscles in our organs, and of course our heart is kind of like one big giant muscle. So we're going to talk about each of the different types, and then we'll go from there. So let me share my notes with you. These notes are attached to the announcement for today's assignment, so you'll have them if you would like to refer to them. We're just going to cover a few objectives. If we were together in class, we would go through the notes relatively quickly, like I'm going to do today, and just kind of, I would introduce you to the basics, and then we would spend a lot of time with the dissection, so dissecting out the different muscles of the rat and learning their names and learning a little bit about their functions. But for obvious reasons, we're not going to be able to do that. So just a few objectives here. The first of all, the functions of the muscular system, as I just mentioned, are to move the skeleton, to maintain posture, to move an organ or to move a substance within the organ, and to contract in order to make the heart pump. And for these different functions, there are different types of muscle that accomplish each one. So this movement of the skeleton and posture are accomplished by the skeletal muscles. Moving an organ or a substance within an organ, those are accomplished by what are called smooth muscles. They're down here. And then, of course, the muscle that contracts to the heart in order to pump the blood is called cardiac muscle. So we're going to talk just a little bit about the differences between those three types of muscle. So the first thing you kind of notice right off is that they look different, and some of them have like more stripes than others, and some of them have no stripes. So that's one of the ways that we can tell these muscles apart, were we to look at them under the microscope. The striped ones are called striated. Those stripes are called striations, and it has to do with the way that the proteins are arranged within the cells, the muscle cells. So skeletal muscles are very striated. Cardiac muscles are somewhat striated. They have some of that striped appearance under the microscope, but smooth muscles have no striations. Okay, in addition to whether they're striated or not, there are some other characteristics that set them apart from each other. Skeletal muscle is the only type of muscle that's voluntary, which means we can control it at will. And obviously, from the name, they move the skeleton. For that reason, skeletal muscles are primarily attached to the bones, and the tendon, a tendon is a piece of connective tissue that connects muscles to bones. So here's the bone, here's the muscle, and this would be the tendon. Cardiac muscle, as I'm sure you could infer from the name, is the muscle that's in the heart. Again, it's somewhat striated. Thank goodness it's involuntary. We don't have to think about how we need to pump our heart. It just happens automatically. And then we have smooth muscle, which is also involuntary, and that's also a good thing because these are the muscles that line the internal walls of our organs and our blood vessels, and we wouldn't want to have to think about controlling consciously the movement of our food through our small intestine, or the movement of our food down our esophagus, or the contraction or dilation of our blood vessels to allow more or less blood to particular areas. Okay, skeletal muscles are the muscles that we primarily look at when we dissect the rat. And skeletal muscles typically work in pairs. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what the members of that pair are called. And so with every movement that the skeletal muscles allow, we have one muscle of the pair is called the prime mover, and it's the muscle that does the main action. And the prime mover is always going to be pulling one bone toward another bone. Muscles always pull, they never push. And they pull by contracting. So if you were going, this is a picture of our arm, obviously. And so if you were going to move, if you had your hands down at your side and you were going to move your arm up to kind of flex your bicep, right? Then your bicep muscle would be the prime mover. It's attached to your shoulder, and then it's attached to your forearm up here. So it goes from here to here. So when it shortens, it causes this part to be pulled up, to your hand to be pulled up towards your shoulder. And because it's doing the pulling, it's the prime mover, and you can feel it under your skin. You can feel the muscle shortening and getting tighter. At the same time that this muscle is shortening, your tricep muscle is actually relaxing or lengthening when you do this motion to allow for the pulling of this, the contraction of this muscle to pull that up. So this contracts while this relaxes. So in this case, this is the prime mover, the bicep is the prime mover and the tricep is the antagonist. If you're doing the opposite motion where you're putting your hand down, you can feel that bicep muscle relax, it lengthens. So now your bicep is the antagonist, and it's your tricep that's connected here and here, that when it gets shortened, it pulls this part of your arm closer now towards your side. So now they've switched places. Your tricep is the prime mover and your bicep is the antagonist. So whichever one's doing the main contracting action is the prime mover. The one that relaxes while the prime mover contracts is the antagonist. And if that weren't confusing enough, we also have something called synergists. And synergists are muscles that assist the prime mover. So they contract at the same time that the prime mover contracts to help stabilize the movement. So even though you're doing like this movement, you think, oh, it's just my biceps. There's also muscles in your chest, your pectoralis, and you can feel them if you put your hand over your chest. You can feel those muscles moving. You can feel it right there. And they're also your deltoid muscles up here, which is where your shoulder, you can feel them contracting somewhat to kind of keep that from being, flopping all around as it's going up. So synergists assist the prime mover. They contract at the same time as the prime mover to help keep the movement stable. And as we talked about, muscles can have different roles at various times depending on the action. So if you're moving your hand up, your bicep is the prime mover. If you're moving your hand down, your tricep is the prime mover and your bicep would be the antagonist. Okay. So like I said, that's about, besides showing you a few videos that demonstrate that better than me with a sweater on and not very muscular myself, I have a few videos that I'll show you that kind of help you see that better, how muscles work. And I would show you them if we were together in class. And then, like I said, we would dissect. So because we can't dissect, what I've done is I've found a couple of videos on where a teacher is dissecting out the muscular system of a rat, and she's also, and then there's another one where I think it's a guy doing it, and he's cutting the muscles away from the limbs of the rat to expose the bones and to help you see how those bones correspond to the bones in the human body. So after you finish this video, I would like for you to watch I think it's 4 videos on the muscular system, and altogether they take about 15 minutes, so they're not long. And then there's a couple of videos on the dissection that if you just watch a few minutes of each, they're pretty long. So if you're just curious about what you would be doing on the rat, take a look at a few minutes of each of those and you'd get a idea. And again, I'm planning on having a dissection club next year. So if you're really sad that you didn't get to dissect the things, which I am, we'll be dissecting them next year. So you'll have a chance if you want to, if you have an opportunity to join that club. Okay, I think that's it for today. So I will sign off now and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.